can tell already, ladies and gentlemen, my guests loved the live countdown. We've overcome some very small technical issues, and we're now recording episode 9 of the Foyne Jones Show. One of the biggest successes of this series has been From the Ground Up, sponsored by David Blitz and E.T. Clay. But where it's really, really worked well for us is David, as a sponsor, has invested in what guests we can get involved and really interacting and networking with them and actually growing business relationships. So now in the studio with me today, I'm joined by someone from the wider Brickability Group. We've been desperate to get him onto the show. Matt Guy, how are you, sir?
Very well, thank you, and thanks for having me, Peter. Yeah, enjoyed it. Thank you. It's been an interesting year so far, and
it's been an interesting year so far. And I know you've been cluing yourself up on the Foyne Jones Show podcast, mate. So you've got through a few episodes, mate, haven't you? So you know what to expect, Matt.
Indeed, I definitely enjoyed David's ones as well, part 1 and 2. So yes, thank you for getting me on.
If it's up to David, there'll be a part 3 and there'll be co-host for next year. To be honest,
imagine lots of stories to tell though.
But you know what? Bricks and bricks. We'll come on to bricks and brickability later. But you know what's been amazing for me, and I want to celebrate this actually. David, as a sponsor, he's not just sat there as a sponsor. He's been to meet some of the guests who've been on the show. He's been interacting with them, and it's turning into new relationships and business relationships which benefit the guest and the sponsor. So if we can achieve that in every episode and achieve that in every series, we're going to really keep it going because it's positive for everyone. But Matt, thank you for joining me. So in today's show, we'll follow our normal From the Ground Up format. So we'll get to know you inside and outside of work. And when I talk about getting to know people inside of work, we always talk about the Nike CEO CV. I started sweeping the floor, I now run the world and whatever. And that journey, we've all been on a journey in our careers, and we've all overcome tough times, good times. We've had good times that we've enjoyed. We've overcome tough times, and every one of them leaves a memory, and you've got to live in that moment, but you've also got to look towards the future. So we'll talk about your journey to now. We'll talk about what the future looks like, and something I always love doing, and we tied on this before the show, I love delving into people's interests away from work. And you're a high Aston Villa fan, by the sound of it.
I am. Indeed. Although we're in a bit of a sticky patch at the moment, I think for any Aston Villa fan, a sticky patch like this would be welcome anytime. So we've been through some challenging times, certainly in my 41 years, as well as some highs. But at the moment, we've got a great manager who's come in and very disciplined and got us to where we are, which is unthinkable maybe a couple of years back. And yeah, like I said, I think now we're in Europe, it was always going to be a different kind of challenge. It was always going to catch up with us. But again, we're holding our own, and that's in the league and the cup. So yeah, fun times, and a nice time to be an Aston Villa fan.
Proper football club as well, from a Fulham perspective. I've always enjoyed my trips to Villa Park. I've got so many different memories, and we'll come on to that, because I think there was a very poignant moment actually when we were I think we might have been called second division, but we were an old third division team, and Kevin Keegan was our manager. Yeah. You had, I think Colin Moore went AWOL before the match, and you were top of the Premier League, and we were top of the second division. I'll tell you how it all played out anyway, because you may remember. But that was a moment when I kind of started believing that maybe we won't be a fourth or third division team anymore. Maybe something will happen. So I've got a lot of memories of Villa. We've had a lot of hidings off from over the years, but we've got a couple of good memories, which I think we'll share when we talk about that. And I'll talk about the team that have impressed me the most this season at Craven Cottage, and that is, and I will tell you why, that is Aston Villa. But so Matt, let's go to the here and now. So for the benefit of the listeners and those that may not know you when we're sharing this, just bring to life what you're doing at the moment, your role, and give us a bit of background on yourself.
Yeah, no problem at all. So, yes, Matt Guy, as you say, I've been with Brickability Group since July this year. My role is sales director for the Brick division, and that incorporates not only the Brickability entities, but as you've said, the likes of David Blitz and E.T. Clay, right up north to Brick Services, including the south, Matching Brick and Brickmongers. We've got a big, wide group, and part of my role is really important that we keep the identities of these brands and these businesses, but equally try and help support and guide where there are sort of opportunities to, use our strength as a group and maybe, work a little bit smarter where we can. But a brilliant, diverse range of companies that really the sky's the limit. And I feel very proud and privileged to be not only in the role I'm in, but to be around such people that share my passion, what we do. Bricks, to me, that's all I've ever really done in my sort of 20 years of working. And I used to work in a builder's merchant myself. And again, I could never really understand those that were working in, say, a civils engineering department or civils department where, stuff gets put in the ground and you don't really see it ever again. But bricks, for me, any development, it's there for your lifetime and you get to see it. And the whole nature of digging clay up out the ground and turning it into what we do. I think if you can tap into people and get that shared passion, then you're on to a win. And certainly what we've got within the group, really excited and really pleased to be here.
Fantastic. Great intro. So you mentioned your journey began at a builder's merchant. Which one was it?
E.H. Smith. Fantastic.
Okay. Business. Yeah, great. Strong player. Just picked up some awards last Friday as well, didn't they?
Yes, that's a great heritage of a business. Fantastic place to sort of learn my trade. And we actually lost the individual that brought me on and took me on, Tony Craft. We actually lost him recently, which was sad to hear.
God bless.
But again, the industry is very much about people. It's very much one of those industries that if it ever gets to the point where we're all hiding behind a spreadsheet or whatever it may be, the corporate world has a demand to do. We've got to remember the things only work because people deal with people, and you need to be upfront and be yourself, be your authentic self. And again, it's a passionate product. So we need to share that passion and harness it.
No one will shout louder than me than saying it's all about the people. I think it's something I had in my merchant career, which went from the yard to sales director. But for the last 21 years, I've founded, launched, run Foyne Jones, and we've been on an amazing roller coaster. And actually, we're probably for the construction industry itself in a difficult passage of play. Not many guests have come on here and said in the last couple of series that we recorded this year. We recorded a KBB series and sponsored by our friends at Carris Hill, and we've recorded this Builders Merchant construction series proudly sponsored by ET Clay. And I think listening to the previous guests who spoke about the challenges being faced, we know, you're going toe to toe out there to stay level on the previous year. You're fighting for everything, and actually, in challenging times, good people become even more important, and the retaining of them, the development of them, and if you're in on a recruitment piece, the attraction of them and onboarding them. Rules of engagement are very different now. That's something that I think everyone's acutely aware of, that as employees, as business owners, as directors, it's a different. People are after different things, aren't they now, Matt?
Yeah, I mean, look, a wise man once said to me, who, funny enough, a wise man actually is our former CEO, Alan Simpson, who's still the largest shareholder in the business now. But he once said to me something that stuck with me, which is in the challenging times, and we are going to get them, comes the greatest opportunities, but you've just got to find them. And again, sometimes you can overcomplicate it. Sometimes being in front of enough people, being able to talk to them, being able to show them what you can offer, what solutions you can give them, ask them the questions. What will make your life easier? It's been easy to deal with, but being able to back that up with, not just the service, but equally yourself, integrity, the way you do it is very important. So, there's plenty of opportunities out there, and it has been challenging. But again, for me, very much glass half full, as the wider group are as well. And I think we're definitely holding our own at the moment, and we've got great plans and a good, solid foundation to be building from, and great people.
Good for you. Good for you. And do you know what? I think from a Foyne Jones recruitment group perspective, we punch well above our weight in terms of our service, in terms of what we offer our partners across the recruitment piece. And that's from headhunting to attractions to traditional recruitment to embedded recruitment, outsourced recruitment. We've got solutions that match the needs of businesses, and actually being able to be creative, being able to approach the challenges with a smile on your face and actually have fun. And for me, I know I've got good people that work with me. I've got good people that I'm surrounded with, whether that's an experienced recruiter like Jody, a talented director like Holly, or even someone like Charlie, who's helping with my PR, helping with my content, helping us as a business, a brand, and myself as an individual kind of pop up in your feed on LinkedIn. Jonesy's fundraising. Do you know what? I might sponsor him. He's up to something. But actually being able to bring that to life and not be afraid of that, so that when I arrive in a boardroom, and I'm in a more formal situation, I can still be me, but you're me with kind of people know about you, and that really helps. And that's changed so much, hasn't it? We all woke up to technology during COVID, and these type of conversations, virtual conversations, become real. And I think now the work, how we want to work and how we want to live and how we want to play and how we want to grow, it is different, Matt. And we're gonna go back to our journey, or your journey, and when it started and how it's moved from E.H. Smith. And we're also going to talk later about the next generation and what they're looking for. Whereas to me, first employer, 9 3/4 years. Second employer, just under 3 years. Launched my own business 21 years later. So you can see that pathway. Yeah. I work with a lot of people that have got 30, 40 years service in their current employer, from the yard to the boardroom, those type of stories. Amazing. The lure for the younger talented professional now, the people leaving school, leaving college, leaving uni, leaving the armed forces, wherever they're coming from, getting a watch after 20, 30 years service isn't sometimes as important on their radar as travelling the world, as working remotely, as having a couple of years experience here and a couple of years experience there. So we'll touch on that in the second half of the show when we talk about the next generation. But, Matt, I want to go back to your journey. So, E.H. Smith, where'd you start? In the yard, on the phones? Bring that to life for me. What branch was it?
Yeah, it was a branch in Enderby in Leicester. Started as I literally got given a camera and a car and a phone. And it was literally learning the ropes from, products on the yard where I first got my start to build the passion around bricks as a product, going to see them every day. Things like doing the stock taking, understanding, being able to match bricks up for extension.
I'm not having you're passionate about stock taking.
Well, not stock taking, no, but you certainly got to see and understand the product and how special it is as well.
Wow, good sidestep that was. For any of Matt's previous employers, he was much better at stock taking than me, mate. If it was an acquisition stock take, I rounded down. If it was one of ours, I rounded up, and away we went. Tick
the box. Tick the box.
I still have nightmares about a Saturday morning when I was very hungover, and I wanted to get away to watch Fulham play, and I was counting the Richard Burbridge Mouldings rack, which you won't know selling bricks, but there are very small lengths of timber in different shapes and sizes, decorative timbers, and I wasn't allowed to go until I finished it. That weren't a good day for me. I still look back on that and think, I definitely shouldn't have turned up late that morning because I come unstuck that day.
No, it was always good fun though. Getting whoever we joined was a sort of freshest, if you like, in the team. You could always still get one over on them and try and convince them, and hopefully succeed to go up on the mez and count the screws or the bolts.
Yeah, mate. I've been through all that. But as I got more senior, my role became more PR. It was like I'll get the bacon butties, I'll get the breakfast, I'll get that. I went for more of the hero role. Do you know what I mean?
Exactly. It was a great environment and still is to this day. I've played sport all my life, captain of many football teams, and I think there are a lot of transferable skills. The ability to communicate and be able to stand in front or sit in front of people and have a conversation a little bit like this. It's such an important factor, and it is, one of the things that I've got 2 kids myself, Alfie and Harry, 11 and 8, and I'm very aware of how much time they spend on a screen and making sure you put them in environments. It's really important, I think.
Must be tough. I missed that. I've got 2 boys, so shout out to Alfie and Harry. Hopefully long-term listeners. Are they Villa fans like their old man?
Alfie definitely still working on Harry. But,
mate, you got to dip them.
Indeed.
My 2, I've got Harry's my oldest and Henry's they're big boys now. They're 26 and 22. One's got his own business, and one jumps out of aeroplanes for the parachute regiment. Wow. So they're big grown-ups, but they had no choice but to be dipped and cursed or blessed with Fulham. That was, and they've never really seen the glory days of the falling down Craven Cottage in the 4th division. They know the worst they've seen is an average team in the Championship. They've been to a European final with Fulham, which we heroically lost in the last seconds of stoppage time. But it is what you're about. So you play football. What position do you play?
I was centre half for a long time. Still try and keep my toe in on the vet scene as well. So more sort of Tuesday night playing for an hour than anything else. But still signed on.
What sort of centre half was you? Did you kick things and head things, or was you more like a Beckenbauer playing it out from the back?
Believe it or not, I was the talker. I could read the game well, and I think my role, similar to where it really is, identifying some of the key players in that case or individuals in the workplace and trying to get the best out of them. I could see the game. If I could get 6 or 7 of our better footballers turning up and doing their own part in that role for it to all come together, then that was my role. I was talking, I was leading, I was motivating, shouting. Again, often that way when you're playing, you can often look like you know what you're doing when you're telling everyone else what to do.
so I bet there's a few people trying to get that role off you for the vets, mate. That's like the dream role, isn't it?
Yeah, like I said, I've not played an actual competitive game yet this season. More than
everyone wants to sit in the hole in the vets team.
Yeah,
I got called. I turned out for a friendly the other God, it was like a couple of years ago, and they're like, "Well, you can run, you can go." I'm like, "I don't want to run. I'm not coming here to run."
No, I tell you what, though, you do look good. You look like you know what you're doing because you get so much time on the ball that your biggest challenge is not having too many options to pass the ball to. So, but listen, you can't beat that. Again, I need that kind of the before and after piece is really important. And again, transferable into a work environment when you're trying to either recruit or, like I said,
when you stop playing, you're a long time start. I mean, I still miss playing every day. Like I do my best to keep fit, I get out, and do what I can. But I would love to be playing football. So I mean, I'm 50 in February. Like but I still fancy myself. And I'm like, I'm gonna go out there and have a go. And it's amazing to keep playing as long as you can.
It is. It took me a while to get back into it. A couple of years ago, actually, October 22, I had a double heart attack, and it was whilst I was playing football. It didn't happen in the game, mind you, but again, that set me back. I had to have a stent fitted and 9 tablets every day. But again, I think at a time like that, you do realise that you can either let something like that define you, or you realise what makes you happy. You realise what you need, that sort of engagement piece, whether it be at work or football, whatever it may be. And again, getting back to that environment, I think was so important for me to have something to aim for.
I mean, Matt, I didn't know that. I'm honoured that you've shared that in the episode, and our one of our previous series was resilience, and it was talking about battling back and overcoming adversity. To be sitting there with a smile on your face, and recovering from a double heart attack at a young age. How old was you when that happened? I
was 39 then.
39.
Yeah, but again, the plus side of that is, you look around the sort of hospital room you're in, and put it this way, there's no five-a-side football team. I think I brought the average age down by about 40 years. But again, it's important sometimes to, you do get time, I think, to sit back and think about what you want to do. And again, for me, be it at work, be it at home, be it football even, I hadn't achieved all I wanted to achieve. I hadn't come that far to only go that far. So it's great to be in the situation I'm in now in each aspect of my life.
Fair play to you, mate. And it's great for the family and for Alfie and Harry. It's a boys' names, So look, that's an amazing story for you to share. So bring us quickly up to the here and now. So from E.H. Smith, how did that journey progress, Matt? And genuinely, before you do, thank you for sharing that. That's quite a powerful message. It really is.
No, listen, I think it's someone like myself who, again, on capital words on your, I was going to say album cover, but podcast, like you say, you see the word resilience in capital letters, and it is such a big lesson that you can't teach. I think you have to put yourself or, your kids in those environments where they do take those lessons on board and take the knocks and keep coming back. And that's an important part, I look out for in things like recruitment. But from where I was at Smiths, sort of 8-9 years later, I got the opportunity with Ibstock Brick, and I've only recently left there after a decade. I worked my way up from literally, I think in your career you find, my career's been like a full circle really, with probably 5 positive influences in terms of people. Yeah. And that brought me to where I am today as well, which is another unique thing about this industry, and why if you are looking for a career path, this is a great one to go into. So I went to an interview at Ibstock and didn't get the role I applied for, which is a rep's job in the West Midlands. But I managed to make an impression on a gentleman called Steve Williamson, who was the sales director at the time. And I was fortunate enough that 3 or 4 weeks after I didn't get the role I applied for, he actually decided to build an area for me. He moved 3 of his existing reps down closer into London and then built me an area from scratch to give me, he saw something in me. And I think it's important that, when you do see that, someone believing in you, that gives you that drive and that ambition to really give it a good go. And luckily for me, I was able to do that and had some real success over a couple of years. And that area he built, doubled and exceeded every target. And with that, he then put me into a sort of bigger area, which was the job that I originally applied for. And again, managed to make a success. And we'll always be grateful to Steve for that. Still deal with him today. And
Brilliant.
He sort of at that point when I went across to the West Midlands, he actually left. Interestingly, the individual that did get that original role I applied for, I'm now working with, who is a gentleman called David Sadler, who's our commercial director for the group. And whilst I was there, I was working in the East Midlands, which Cosgrove was operating in the West Midlands in the same division. He's now our MD for the group. So it's amazing how, along your journey, you find these positive people influences, and it's amazing how it can all come back together again as well. Emphasises just how important the people element is, and I make no apology if I keep using that word because it.
I think strengths of relationships and that inner sanctum of a strong network is so powerful for so many people. I think from a recruitment owner speaking, sometimes to break that status quo and to disrupt it and to bring someone in to give them a chance, you need to. I often have conversations where I have to remind people, and what you said just now, Matt, is like the perfect example. Steve Williamson, you said? Steve? Yeah. So Steve saw something in you and created an opportunity for you.
Created a monster in some ways.
Yeah. Boom, and there we go. That's the path we walk. But actually being open-minded enough to give someone a chance. These are conversations I have almost every single day, or my team has. We've got 4 people shortlisted. You said you would consider someone from a different sector, someone with a more diverse background. Why have you only picked 3 for interview who sell the same products to the same customers for a competitor? Why are these 2 people not getting, they won't be able to hit the run in, I need someone to, and I'm like, whoa, hold on. So were you never given a chance? Let's talk about football. Were you never given that chance to play with the first team when you weren't ready? Did you ever not get, like someone has to give you that chance, and I believe in that, and it's a tough piece, but we have to overcome it as an industry, because if we don't, I'm going to be really honest with you, Matt, I'm getting older. You're getting older. Yeah. Those people you mentioned, God bless them, they're getting older. Indeed, where's our youth team coming through? Where's our academy?
Yeah, when Steve, then left to move on to Pastures New for a while, again, I realised that I wanted to get into that, kind of more management role, and I went a little bit, I'd say sideways, but into a first management role, still within Ibstock, but a different sector of the business. Again, and that was to put myself in, I guess, learn to be comfortable with the uncomfortable, learn to be vulnerable. And I realised at that point, like you said, that building teams is about finding different people with different superpowers and bringing them together. I think, if you hire everyone in a similar sort of way, you don't get that diversity, that ability to bring lots of different pieces together and try and actually achieve what you want. And that, again, for anybody out there looking to get into the industry, I'm ADHD. Again, I view that as my superpower. So I've got the ability to, get through an inordinate amount of work. But again, I've got people around me, and you build a team around you that can make sure that everything then comes circle end to end. And again, those superpowers to me, I think it's amongst anything else, it's been able to hold a conversation with people. Alan Simpson, again, who I mentioned again, our former CEO, once said to me in recruitment, never hire someone that you couldn't sit next to on a long haul flight. And again, it's little things like that you think, you don't have to know the products. If you've got a passion for it and you can see something in somebody, then trust your gut sometimes. Don't overcomplicate it. And again, I've been lucky to have people that have invested time in me along the way. And that gives you that motivation, if you like, or that extra edge, and my wife included, to be able to buy into you, to give you that platform, to be able to have a bigger and wider purpose. That gives you the drive to want to succeed.
I think that's a fantastic way, and I echo that. I've been with my wife since she was 18 and I was 20, so that's 30 years. You know, we've got a 26-year-old and a 22-year-old. Genuinely, there is nothing I would have achieved without her, and it's actually quite humbling when you look at everything you do and why you do it. I am, you know, I talk about this on my LinkedIn. You know, I'm a dad, I'm a husband, I'm a Fulham fan, I'm the founder of Foyne Jones. You could put them in whatever order you want, they're all integral. But what you spoke about there, Matt, was actually the perfect way, I think, to end the first half of the show. So thank you for being so honest. Thank you for being so humble. When we come back after the break, all right, we are going to talk about Aston Villa. All right, we're going to talk about why you're a Villa fan, where it began, the highlights, your favourite players, and I'll throw a bit of Fulham Villa banter in because I can. Why not? Let's put it in. Yeah. Then we'll talk about the future, you know, what it looks like for bricks and brickability, you know, what you've got, what you're planning, what the market looks like, where the opportunities are for everyone within the sector. And we finish the show up by giving some advice to the next generation. So thanks for listening. We'll see you after the break.
When it comes to bricks, there's only one company to speak with. ET Clay have something for every brick project. With over 400 products across our 2 depots, we are the builder's merchant, brick merchant.
Okay, welcome back to episode 9 of the Foyne Jones Show. It's season 8 from the ground up, and we're sponsored by our friends at ET Clay. Shout out to David Blitz. You know this better than anyone, Matt, but they sell bricks, and we're talking to Matt Guy, sales director from Brickability. Matt, you mentioned something earlier on, and I must highlight it. You said you looked at the podcast covers and it looked like an album cover. I'm going to grab that little bit of edit. I'm going to grab that and play that to our brand director, Holly Spring, because that's what she calls them. What album cover are you going to have for this series? What colour do you want? I'm like, let's go hot pink. Let's do this. Let's do that. Yeah. So I'm going to do that. But I want to just before we go into the second half of the episode, we're recording this on the 4th of December. For November, I was fundraising for that charity there, Support Our Paras. I set myself 2 challenges. One was to stay sober for the entire month. The second was to run 200k in total across the month. I had a terrible start. I was sick note for 3 days. I had the man flu or the virus or whatever it was. So as I got on to about, I think it was Monday the 3rd or Monday the 4th, I can't remember what it was, I think it was the 4th, I was like minus 19 in where I should have been in my running. So I had to play catch up. I caught up. I ran 230k in total, so I finished early and kept going towards the end of the month. I stayed sober until 10:35 on Sunday when I arrived in a restaurant for a liquid breakfast before Tottenham Fulham, and I had a pint of Guinness. So I've changed my relationship with alcohol, but I waited until the 1st of December. In terms of fundraising, this is why I want to say thank you. Matt, you were one of the people very kindly donated, and it's so appreciated. We raised we have raised so far £4,130 with Gift Day. That takes us over 5 bags of sand, so we're over £5,000 in fundraising for the magnificent charity Support Our Paras. It means a lot to us as a family. Our youngest son, Henry, serves with 2 para. The charity themselves, Support Our Paras, they look after anyone who has served with a parachute regiment in the past, those like our son who are serving at the moment, and the wider airborne family and community. So their loved ones, their dependents, God forbid their next of kin. They're there for people when they need support. It could be housing, it could be mental health, it could just be someone to talk to, it could be advice, it could be assistance. But that's what the charity's for. Your donation that you made, Matt, and everyone else made has gone straight to the charity. So I wanted to take some time to say thank you. So Thank you very much, Matt. Your donation was appreciated. And thank you to anyone listening to this episode who also donated. I think over 150 people donated, which is a lot, right? And times are tough right now for everyone. It doesn't matter how much you got in the bank. It still costs you more to go shopping. Doesn't matter how much you got in the bank. It still costs you more to fill up your car or charge up your car. Making sure I get that right. Doesn't matter what you do. Everything costs more money. So those donations, so appreciated. Back to the podcast. Matt, let's talk about Aston Villa. Where did it begin? Come on, to bring it to life, your love for the club. You said you're a 41-year fan?
Yeah, I mean, I guess one of my earliest memories is really, but I think you go to the successes, don't you? That sort of 91, 92 era. So I remember really, idolising people like, Mark Bosnich, Dean Saunders, Dalian Atkinson.
I was going to say Dalian, running past everyone.
Indeed, yeah, fantastic team. And we touched on it before the show, like the stadium itself, like the feeling you get, the heritage in there, you can almost feel the history. And if you think back then, for quite a few years, like most of the FA Cup semi-finals were at Villa Park. It was about that, that kind of very football feel. It's again another special place. I think the claret and blue definitely got to me. I think that was a sort of big sort of draw, and just being able to watch that team have the success that they did. It was just a really enjoyable time for me. And again, I live on the border of Leicestershire, Warwickshire, so there are quite a few Aston Villa fans as well. So it was a good sort of friendship group that we had. To this day now, I don't get down as often as I'd like to. My boys are into football and art, music, those sort of things. So, but really special place in my heart. And nice to be able to see us back to having some.
It's funny you mentioned the FA Cup semi-finals being played there. I've got a terrible memory of a Sunday evening, Fulham v Chelsea. FA Cup semi-final. So we're playing at Villa Park at 5:45 on a Sunday evening.
That is painful, isn't it?
Yeah. I mean, it was like a scene from Football Factory. Our coaches got stopped at Hammersmith Broadway. We didn't even get we didn't even get off the Fulham Palace Road. The police had pulled us over. Anyway, young John Terry scored the winner. We lost 1-0. We scored header. Our coach, the geezer organising our coach, got arrested because he let people drink on it. The coach driver got arrested. He had to get bailed to take us home. And we're sitting there saying we just lost. We just want to go home. So I do. I remember watching him on the telly thinking what a great spectacle, what a proper football ground to go to. But we had the whole end, and you're sitting there and you're thinking, we're losing 1-0, we never quite got in the game. So I remember that. But who would you say growing up, the player that stood out for you? Was it Dalian or was it someone else in the team, mate? Being a centre half, was it Paul McGrath? Was it?
He's the one. I actually watched a documentary recently on Paul McGrath, and again, very inspiring character, very, again, open, honest, wasn't afraid to be vulnerable, but at the same time, you watch him step over that white line, and whatever it took him to get there all week, didn't train as often as he would have liked and everything else, like the leadership, the character again, and again, his sheer desire to lead from the front, it was inspiring, and, what a player, and it was great to watch his documentary.
I met him once. I don't think you remember it. Yeah, I don't think you remember it, mate, to be fair, but I met him at the Belfry. I was London sales director for a builder's merchant called Jewson, and I took some customers up for it was a Ryder Cup, but I went up on I didn't get I got the day before, so like the warm-up, so it was really quite relaxed, and there was all kind of like celebs and stuff about, and you had all the Sky lot and everything there. And I remember going to the bar, funny enough, with a couple of customers, and they go, look, I'm like, what? And they go, it's Paul. And they were kind of like, I just went over and spoke to him and said, I'm a Fulham fan, I've always admired you, you're a great player, like, and the teams when, and he was an absolute gentleman, absolute gentleman, to be fair.
Another example, again, even any work in life, any individual, when we are recruiting again, he came to Villa with a point to prove. And that's, again, it's anything that you look for in an individual, isn't it, in any walk of life?
Yeah, it is. So what about today? You must be having it off as a Villa fan. I know you mentioned results have got a bit sticky, but hold on, look where you are.
Exactly, yeah. Like I say, sticky in this era isn't, sticky that I've seen in many, many years. So, I think it was always going to be a different challenge for us. We've got to adapt to, playing the Champions League, and that, I can only imagine is a very, very difficult hurdle to overcome. We have got a reasonable sized squad. We've been a little bit unlucky with injuries, but again, when you look at that squad we've got, I think Kamara coming back at the moment make a big difference, because I do feel when we lost David Luiz last year, or for this season, I did think that would be a bit of a gap. But again, he's recruited well. We've got some good players, and I fancy us. Like I said, I think we'll come out this patch. Great manager again.
The lad you got from, did you get from Borough? He's a good player.
Rodgers, yeah.
He ripped. I mean, he looked good for England, didn't he? Like when he played, but he ripped us apart at Craven Cottage. He really did.
It's another example, where you see, Emery and the recruitment team have seen something in him that I guess, when he was playing at Middlesbrough, maybe we didn't see quite as often, but the potential again was there. And again, he's another one that's taken his opportunity and would have tripled his worth already. And fantastic player to have in the team.
Great player. Great at the Cottage this year. We were 1-up. It was kind of a route one goal. It was even then. You equalised. You deserved the equaliser. We had a penalty. He messed around with a penalty. He didn't miss it hard. He kind of dinked it. It was a terrible moment. And if we'd gone in at half time 2-1 up, I still think Villa would be too strong because they were kind of bossing the game. But come the second half, and Watkins loves, ever since he's been at Brentford, he loves scoring against Fulham. He can't help it. He just always does. He beat us on his own last season at Craven Cottage. He scored two. It was like Fulham 0, Watkins 2. And I think it's one of those things. But great football club, great fans. 2-team City really. So you've got that intensity there anyway.
Yeah.
But I've got memories of Fulham Villa from the playoff final, and that was I never thought I'd see 50,000. I didn't think there was 50,000 Fulham fans in the world. So see them in that end, amazing. We nicked it 1-0. Probably were the better team on the day. To be fair, we probably were. Jack Grealish, I have to say, was best player on the pitch.
Yeah.
But he was amazing. Like he was amazing that day, trying to drag the team back into it. But I think we were more dynamic. We had more going forward. It was one of those games that I still look back on and think, wow, I've seen Fulham in European finals. I've seen them there, but to actually see us at Wembley and win, because it might not have been as nice if we didn't win, but to see us at Wembley and win was special. Another game from my memory banks, really, really special, is when we played. Kevin Keegan was our manager, and it was just before he got the England job, and it was the 98-99 season, and we won the third division. That's the reality of it. It's not that long ago. We just come out of fourth, and Keegan bought some big signings. We were owned by someone who's it's not as easy to talk about him now as it was back then. You could say he's Mr. Al-Fayed's legacy's been somewhat damaged. So, but when he arrived, we were there. When he left, we were there. But there was that moment we drew Villa in the FA Cup third round, and Villa were top of the Prem. We were top of the third division. On the way up there, the people were saying Colin Moore's gone AWOL, no one knows where he is, he's out of the team. That was all going on. So I might have disrupted things a bit. Anyway, we won. And Mr. Fulham, Simon Morgan, who'd been to Fulham for years in the dark days, scored a header. He's a Blues fan, so it meant a lot to him. And kind of we come away from that thinking and we got Man U next game, and we got beat by Man U. But it didn't. But the thing was, I think it was that moment when you suddenly thought, well, maybe like some of the things that they're talking about could happen. So we went up to the Championship as it was, so into there, and had a season of consolidation because Keegan went to England and Bracewell stepped in, and we finished mid-table. Then John Sagana come in and bought Saha, and we scored 100-odd goals, and we destroyed the league. And then, interestingly, we stayed in the Premier League for 13 years. And we were kind of a Premier League team, but then we came down and yo-yoed, and they were tough times when you're like, oh, we're back up, and then you're like, oh God, we spent 150 million, we're worse, and we've gone back down. So, bit of that. And I always enjoyed Villa Park. As an away fan, I enjoy Villa Park. So, I can't invite you to the Fulham game this season, Matt, but if you want to come down to Craven Cottage with the boys, next season, let me know, because I can definitely get tickets. It's a lovely ground, so it's on the banks of the Thames, so we can welcome you down there. And honestly, good luck in Europe, good luck this season, good luck in the Cup. So I wish you and Aston Villa all the best, sir. I really do.
Thank you very much.
So let's talk about the market and what's next. I've got this section called bricks, and brickability. Seemed a sensible section for it. Let's talk about what you love and what the market's looking like for you now and what your plans are, as much as you can share for the future.
Yeah, so as I say, I spent a decade at Ibstock learning my trade, I would say. And again, it was working my way up from a representative to sales director for the distribution division. My first directorship within Ibstock was actually a key account director looking after Brickability Group, and that's probably where I first saw and really got, I guess, close to what the real success of the business, to where it's got to at that point, but equally then the potential to keep it going as well and keep building. And I think where the group has acquired over the years, it's been very strategic, very clever. The likes of David and E.T. Clay, other, not just brick businesses as well. But we're almost, as I look at Brickability now, well positioned to be offering almost, we call it the complete solution. So we're able to talk to our customers within the group for almost taking a house type, if you like, or a high rise, and whatever you're looking at, be it some kind of system, be it HAs or people looking for renewable energies with solar panels and underfloor heating. We've got a large percentage within our group to be able to sit down, engage with customers, start a conversation, and again, try and make their life easy. So it's really, really, although it has been challenging that we touched on earlier on, it's a massive opportunity. And I think the scale of the business and the fact we can keep scaling up is so important. And like I say, my role in that is my first 6 months where I've been here, I've been trying to lead from the front and get around the customer base, some existing, some new, to try and almost express what we can offer. And again, having seen, I guess, this industry from a manufacturing and distribution side over my sort of best part of 20 years, again, I don't think I could be in a better place now. And I don't think the group, could be in a better place to offer the level of service and, again, relationship, if you like, that we can now. So really, really exciting. Plans for next year are big. We've got our sort of allocations in place with suppliers, and I'd like to give a big shout out to all our major suppliers. Without them, we aren't anything. And again, the customers as well, vital, crucial. And again, we're very lucky to have a great customer base and one that I want to keep leading from the front to grow.
Mate, that's a fantastic kind of statement of where the market is right now, what you can offer, that complete solution. And it's important to recognise the role suppliers play. The whole partnership piece is so important now, because your customer's customer, it's so important all the way across that process. And I have people talking to me about, they say, why are you so passionate about the industries you recruit for? You love what you do, but you seem to be, charismatically talking about the opportunities within merchanting and manufacturing and construction. Why is that? And I'm like, it's in my heart. It's what I know. I grew up working on my granddad's market stall selling fruit and veg, but other than that, my first job at 18 was in Travis Perkins in Fulham, funnily enough. So most people know that journey, and it enables me to understand the challenges suppliers face, to understand the challenges partners face, what the customers are looking for. And when people are recruiting, and it's a lovely way to come onto this section, you can sit there and you can understand where their route to market is, what their challenges are, and what they can offer, who it will attract. We all want a Champions League level striker to bang us in 20 goals a season, but we haven't always got the budget for that person. So if we can't, what are the non-negotiables? What are the desirables? And where can we look to find that talent? How do you, when you're recruiting, Matt, what's important to you? What? I mean, you mentioned, someone with a point to prove, i.e. Paul McGrath, someone with some fire in their belly. What do you look for when you're hiring, Matt?
Yeah, really good question, actually. And I think,
thank you.
Again, I think building teams, as I said in my previous life, was a big element to leading to the success that we had, and building those high performing teams. As I say, it's all about balance for me. You can't have a team of 10, 15 hunters, if you like. You have to have some farmers in there. I call these hunters and farmers, the ability to be able to go out and proactively find business, find and build new relationships. but the firemen, you've got to then manage them and make sure you give them the service that you promised at the start. So I think balance is a key one, and it depends, what team you inherit or have got at that time as to what you're looking for. But again, the hunting and farming is the key two areas for me. In this world I'm currently in, hunting is key. I need to have a team of people that, again, can hold a conversation. It's one of the first things I look for, tell me about you. And again, let them open up. I try and let them do most of the talking. I'll try and see how they can engage. What are things like, eye contact? Can they drop their shoulders and, talk about something a little bit different? Can they be vulnerable? Again, right from leaders down, I think we all need to be vulnerable to show our authentic selves. You can't, I don't want to see people pretending to be something in a boardroom or whatever. Of course, you've got to be able to hold yourself. And I learned a lot of good lessons in a corporate environment. And now, I can transfer them into another corporate environment, but with my authentic self. And that's so important, to not lose sight of who you are. Because, as I say, you're back to superpowers. We've all got a superpower. And it's depending on what you need at that given time for your team to function overall. There's a place for everybody, I think.
So let me pose another question. It's probably not as good as the last one. It's more obvious from what you said. But how do you interview for authenticity and superpowers?
I think I've always been, things like buzzwords are one. You can always tell if there's a script, if you like, if there's a, even doing this today, like I said, I made a couple of bullet point notes, but I think if you're scripting something, then you're probably overthinking it and you're not necessarily giving a full representation of yourself, I would say.
You saw my script for this episode. It wasn't that long.
Yeah, we did that before, didn't we?
It wasn't very long. I think you had 5 points on it, mate. Do you know what I mean? It's,
But I think that shows something, to not have a agenda, if you like, but to be able to then engage with individuals. That shows me that you can be, if you're in a customer environment and you could be under pressure, you've got to have that, again, resilience, that ability to try and listen is a big one. Listen to what that customer needs, wants, or any issues they may have that we've got to overcome, and then come back with a solution. And that isn't, it sounds very simple, but it's not easy to do when an individual might be new into the industry under pressure. You've got to be able to be composed. You've got to be able to have done planning to know what A, you want to get out of it, but B, understand that opportunity that's in front of you. And I think you can always tell the individuals that are able to do that within about the first 5 minutes. The rest of it, yes, the research is great, but it's more the ambition to want to better yourself. And again, Brickability Group is in a position now where we're, between Richard, David and I, that, as I say, we've all ended up back in this role together after working and coming along each other along the way. Again, we're looking to build the future. We're looking for individuals that can help us do that and grow that. But, first and foremost, I think the ability for a candidate to sit in front of us, be themselves, be able to engage, enjoy the people bit, because that's always going to be key in our industry. The day that ever changes, then, it wouldn't be for a lot of us, because it's vital. It's vital.
It's like, I'm going to call you through the Brickability Holy Trinity.
But yeah, I like that. Yeah.
You can have that. You can borrow that if you want.
I might put that on a T-shirt.
Put it down, mate. Put it on. Get it branded. But it's interesting though, isn't it? Because what you've spoken about there, to dig deep in an interview and understand how someone has shown resilience in their career, has overcome a negative situation, how ambitious they are. Not many people come to an interview or put on their CV, I'm not very good. I'm not trustworthy. I don't turn up on time. People want to give the best impressions of themselves. And you're actually talking about your employability coming down to how that person's made you feel, how in that engagement, they've left you wanting a bit more. There's something in there which you'd feel comfortable with on the long haul flight. Perhaps you'd sleep at night if they're in front of your customer base. Perhaps you'd sleep at night if they're in front of the big boss. That was something that I always used to think. In my merchant days, I was like, okay, you're going to be great in front of the customers. I like you, but we've got to make sure the business, you work with the business as well. And sometimes that. You make appointments wrong because you're going with your heart against some of the more obvious things. Yeah. So I understand the challenges, and I think for me, the industry was always about people. We need individuals like yourself to be open-minded. We need you to be, it shouldn't be a closed door for me. This is something I fight all the time. If you want to target the brick and cladding market, do you have to have brick and cladding experience? Is that a non-negotiable? That's a question which will come up a lot. And you could take any product and any solution and have the same conversation. Do you have to have understood those products or be in that market with a black book of contacts to be successful? That's the challenge, man. What's your take on that?
Yeah, that's a really important one, actually. I think it's all dependent to the role you're doing. I say on the grand scheme of things, I would say the product knowledge, if you can see something in individuals, that can be taught. If you can see there's a passion and ambition, again, they can learn that along the way. You do need specialists along the way. So things like in our world with architectural sort of dialogue and engagement, that more technical side is important to be able to understand that and demonstrate that. But on the whole, again, I do think it depends on what role you're going for. And I also think, you touched on CVs earlier. I used to work with my wife. In fact, she was my boss for a period of time. And again, we got a lot of CVs sent in for different roles to look at. And sometimes even just reading those CVs, you do sometimes discard ones from the way they are written. And if it does sound too false, too buzzwordy, it is sometimes something you look out for, because you think, is that individual talking to me, or is it almost like an AI type sort of piece of...
I mean, that's the reality now. I have I shared this in the episode with Bensi, but I have a pathological hatred of CVs. They started in a Renaissance period in the 1400s, and we're still using them now. What's all that about? So, if you recruit with my business, or when you recruit with my business, we record conversations like this, asking about your background, why you're interested in the position. We present these video interviews alongside the CV. So much more powerful.
Exactly.
So much more powerful. And it gives candidates a chance to shine. It gives them a chance to show someone what they're all about. And if you had a choice, right, and you're a job seeker, and you say, right, you can give me a piece of paper, or you can do a video interview which we record answering questions that the employer wants to see you answer, and you put that alongside your CV. No one's going to say, no, just send me CV. You're always going to do that. And that's the difference, I think, where working with the right partner, having a partner that understands what you're looking for, understands your culture, understands the type of people you would want to meet against the type of people you don't want to meet. That's really important, because that pre-qualifying saves you so much money. And people say, how's that save you money? I said, it saves you money because it saves you time. What's your time worth? What's an hour worth to you? And they say, so what's 5 hours worth? Well, times that by 5, I say. So if you do 5 unsuccessful interviews, what's that cost you? So how would you feel if you could see 2 or 3 people that before you meet them, they match your criteria, you like their personalities, and there's something in them that it's got you wanting to find out more.
Exactly.
That's where we sit as a partner.
It's good. And when you read CVs, and even when I actually get into the interview, I'm not going to say grueling, but again, everything, the CV goes down, and again, I'm talking to somebody. Every statement they make, I'll ask them to give me an example from their, it doesn't have to be their working life, it might be, again, sport, but they have to give me, I ask for an example of how, give me a time when. It's that sort of question, because that's how you get people to open up, and that's how you can tell, if a CV's been written with a kind of objective in mind, if I need to, show myself as what I can do, or if it's something that really is authentic and something you can then look at the skills and help them transfer that into a role. And it's two very different things.
Spot on, mate. So we're going to take that for the last part of the podcast, because it's been a great episode, because it feels like we've been talking for 5 minutes, but we've been talking for nearly an hour. That surprised you, didn't it? Yeah. There you go. So last part of the episode, Matt, I'd like you to just dive into that a little bit more. And if you were talking to a young Peter Raymond Jones or a young Matt Guy, a young boy and girl, and by young as well, I don't always mean young in age. It can be someone who's maturer and wants to transfer into the industry. And they want to, it's not always, because everyone says, next generation, they think, young, school leaver. And I'm not always on that. I'm about, people coming to work in our fantastic industry. Yeah. What advice would you give? What would be takeaways? You were giving 2 or 3 pieces of advice to our next generation.
Yeah. So again, the industry is, as I said, a great way to engage and meet the people element. So as I said, I think there's a lot of, as I look at the schooling these days, there's a lot of things on screens and everything else, but the important thing, as I said, I'm ADHD earlier on, and again, my son, my oldest son, is the same. But when I look at him, he's got the confidence and the ability to hold his own in any conversation in any walk of life. And I think if you have got any sort of neurodiversity or anything like that, it's a great industry again, because as I said at the start, it's built on superpowers. If you can hold a conversation, if you're looking for an industry that you can, it is quite a, I'm not going to say archaic, but it's behind the likes of, say, automotive as an example. But that means, again, if you can see an opportunity, even things like we're doing today, this wouldn't have happened sort of 5, 6, 7, 8 years ago. To come in and get a fresh set of eyes on the industry from the world today is going to be really important for how the next generation takes it and where it goes and how we engage with people. You touched on it earlier on, post-COVID, let's take architects in general. They're almost spending hours like solicitors now to be able to see them, and they're working hybrid and you can't get into offices. So, again, it's going to take people like the younger generation that are really heavy into social media and a different view of life for how we can keep this great industry going. But at the heart of it, again, is going to be people. So I've always made a point over my career to make sure that, as I've been on calls or meeting people, who is the sort of next people in line in that business? Who might be working on the building sites? There's a lot of individuals now that I'm talking to that, again, are directors 10, 20 years on. And it's so important to be able to, again, look at what's around you, observe, and, don't just buy into the first person, because your career will hopefully be a long one in this industry. And generally, when you're in this industry, there's not many people that leave, because it is a great place to be. They'll move around, don't get me wrong, but when you're in it, you're in it. And I think it speaks for itself. And that's probably the kind of message I'd give to individuals. You can be your authentic self, bring your experiences, think about how that could transfer into what is already a great industry. But what could it be? Again, what could it be in another 10, 20 years' time? And again, it's going to be these individuals that will help shape that.
Mate, what a great and powerful message, Matt. It's been an absolute pleasure. We've got lots to talk about from this episode. We've got lots to talk about anyway. But I think getting to following those steps of your career, your love for Aston Villa, your love for your family, that's come through from the get-go. You shared some examples of battling back from, real adversity with your heart attack and at a young age to carrying on. And actually your passion for who you work with and what you do will have resonated with anyone. So it's been a brilliant episode, mate. You had fun? You had a good hour?
Yeah, again, like I say, it's been nice sitting back thinking, really. As I said, those 5 individuals really that have helped almost bring my career full circle to where I am now, as I say, in Steve Williamson, Richard Cosgrove, David Sadler, Alan Simpson, and, my wife, who has been, like I said, an absolute rock and has allowed me to be in this position, in this role, to do where I am today. So, yeah, been really lucky to have...
What's your wife's name, Matt?
Kate.
Kate, okay. Yeah. So shout out to Kate and Alfie and Harry and the Guy family. I wish you, Aston Villa, Bricks and Brickability continued success. We're looking forward to working with you as a partner, building on the great work David Blitz and ETK have done in this episode as well. Yeah. That, ladies and gentlemen, is sadly the end of this episode. We'll see you next week for the final episode of this series. But before I finish, I want to say something very personal. So excuse me this, Matt, but it's a personal one for me. Yesterday, I was a coffin bearer at the funeral of someone very special to me. He's my mate's dad, my mate Mark Sutherland's dad, Keith Gordon Sutherland, God bless him. He was a working class hero. He was a legend. He was a Fulham fan. He was Streatham Vale born and bred. He was anyone who know him will share that he was an amazing character. He had a smile for anyone, and he was given 2 weeks to live in February this year, and he battled on amazingly for 8 months. We buried him, or we cremated him yesterday. It was a special day for Mark and his family, and a lot of the Fulham family came together to be part of it yesterday. So it was a very special day. So I'd like to dedicate this episode to Keith Sutherland and his family. They're wonderful people, and we're going to be there to support you. So, Matt, thank you very much for being part of the show. God bless you, Keith Sutherland. Fulham family, one of our own, Fulham together. He took me to my first away games, mate. He, I've got so many memories. Some of them I can't share. I can't share because when the responsible adult taking you away games is getting arrested, and you're 10, 11, 12 years old trying to find your way back from Huddersfield on a Wednesday night. Yeah, there's some great stories, but they're stories that mean so much. They mean so much.
I think we all want to leave a legacy, don't we? And I think listening to you then, like I say, it's definitely an individual that's left a legacy with you.
He's do you know what? His boy Mark's one of my closest pals. He came to football. He met us in a bar cafe in Liverpool Street, Polo Bar. We were met there 10:30 on Sunday. We spent the day together. He was shaping himself up for a funeral, and great day with him. Great lad. Three of us come together to join the family to carry the coffin. It was a very special day, mate. But Matt, again, I want to say this. I want to make sure my listeners hear this. If you want inspiration, you want to get some examples of battling back, listen to what this guy said earlier in the episode and feel his passion for our industry, because that's the industry we're in. It's about the people. We will see you next week. This is the Foyne Jones Show from the ground up. Thanks for listening.